What is the most extreme misuse of an everyday item you have ever witnessed? Not really an everyday thing unless you're a tradesman, but I've seen way too many people try to pound screws in with a hammer. We weren't allowed hot plates or microwaves in the college dorms, so one of the girls on my floor cooked bacon with a hair straightener. I once had a friend casually say, you know how when you run out of toilet paper, so you just use a sock or whatever? No the duck I do not. Sandra. Jesus Christ. When was the last time you put gloves inside the gloves box of your car? My friend's kid decided to make a grilled cheese sandwich with an iron on the couch. Burned a nice iron shaped hole in the couch. Kid was 15 at the time. Got a non-stick pan and metal utensils in the kitchen? Somebody, at some point, will misuse the duck out of both at the same time. Walked into my sister's room and she had maxi pads laying everywhere with Barbies on top. She's like, look at all these Barbie sleeping bags I found. I did not witness it, but my grandma had used a vibrator as a massaging stick for her back pain because the box had stated massage stick. The way we found out was hilarious though. When we visited her one day, she started telling how she went to the shop where she bought her massage stick and asked the boy to change the batteries. She did not understand why the boy had refused and why he acted weird. Then she asked my mom if she could change the batteries and gave my mom the vibrator. I still feel sorry for the kid behind the counter at the shop. When I was a kid, my mother used a pasta spoon to clean the cat litter box. I thought this was normal because it was the only way I'd ever seen it used. Then, years after our cat died, I was eating dinner at a friend's house when the mom grabbed the same kind of utensil to serve spaghetti. I freaked the duck out and shouted, why are you serving food with a poop scoop? They were so confused and I couldn't eat my dinner because I was so disturbed. I haven't personally witnessed it, but I've seen a few too many X-ray images of people with light bulbs up their asses. Someone playing a shooter game to use their Xbox One controller for a massage. I'm working in the operating theater. We removed a very large eggplant from a very normal sized asshole. We had a housemate who used to get home very drunk and try and cook himself elaborate meals, which always resulted in a lot of mess and noise. To combat this, I turned the oven and electrical sockets in the kitchen off when he went out one night. Foolproof. The fool cooked himself steak in the living room with our clothes on at 3 AM. Roommates in college used laundry pods in the dishwasher for like a week. I hand washed my dishes, so it did not affect me. They only noticed because I asked why they always left their laundry pods on the kitchen counter. Using a microwave to dry a smartphone. After running said smartphone under tap water to clean it. This was like 7 years ago. I don't think the phone was waterproof. Person who did this was good academically but had no common sense whatsoever. It baffled me. A friend of mine was a first generation migrant to my country and her parents had a dishwasher in their house, but due to never having had one in their home country, saw it as a wasteful appliance to use, so they stored clean pots and pans in it, just like another cabinet. Some people use those for tobacco use only items for something that isn't tobacco. The nerve. My adult Bill once used steel wool to scrub his parents' oak dining table. That still floors me after like a decade. Many years ago, my cousin was a doctor at a teaching hospital in my city. He came back from work one day and told us, he was staying with us at the time, that some guy had tried to use a lawnmower to trim his hedges. The blades of the mower got snagged around some of the branches on the hedge, and this idiot didn't turn the motor off before trying to reach into the mower to remove the jamming branches. As a result, when the branches were shifted, they dislodged, and the blades started spinning again at top speed, slicing his fingers off before he could remove them. Potential Darwin Award material right there. Edit. Was not expecting 6,000 upvotes. Oh. This was a story that a colleague told me that happened on the day I was off back in the day I used to work for a hotel. Apparently some Chinese guests came to reception to complain that the microwave wasn't working. We didn't have microwaves in the room. So when coming to inspect the problem, she found out that they were trying to microwave a pizza in the room's safe. I once witnessed a dude washing out condoms and hanging them to dry. My high school Spanish teacher would use her computer's disk tray as a shelf for her coffee mug. Snorting nutmeg to get high. The vacuum in my apartment, which my roommate's drunk boyfriend seems to think needs to be running at 2:01 am. There's a Darwin Award that got awarded to a young man who learned in biology that running a current through a muscle will cause it to contract. He used this knowledge to hook up a cow heart to the electric grid and then stuck his D in before flipping the switch. Took them a bit to figure out why they found a naked boy with what seemed to be a lump of coal fused around his D. That doesn't seem like an appropriate use of your home's light sockets. Sorta general, but the whole using hot peppers, cinnamon, glue to embiggen lips thing. There's a TikTok going about with a girl using lash glue to glue her upper lip to her skin to make it hotter, plumper, and I think it's not long until superglue is used for the same purpose. But I mean, it's not like emergency rooms have anything better to do so. I caught a friend of mine rubbing one of the antibacterial hand wipes from KFC all over his friend's chicken. The little packet said a hint of lemon on it, and he thought that he was meant to flavor the chicken with it. I used to work at a golf course doing lawn maintenance. We had a fella on our crew that was older and, well, not the brightest. He was kind of a loner, so we just let him be most of the time. One day, I saw our guy mowing some large berms with one of our push mowers. To save time, I guess, he left the mower running, then picked it up to put in the back of the truck. He still had all his fingers, but the truck tailgate took a good hit. We have a concrete putty knife at work that is used to cut brownies with. I hear that blade scream in pain with every chop. I hear you, blade, and I feel your pain, comma. I've secretly used it to do some minor sheetrock work, so it remembers what it was intended for. Using a microwave to dry clothes. There were flames. I use the little toilets in family restrooms because they work just like a squatty potty. I always pray that the lock doesn't malfunction, cause I am not sure how I will explain what's happening. My roommate once poured hummus into a pot of marinara sauce. He's also mixed together a bunch of different types of barbecue sauce and left them out for days. Then he ate it and tried to get the rest of us to eat it. Using my fabric shears to cut wire and plastic packaging. And now he's butthurt that my new fabric shears have a padlock through the handles. My wife routinely uses butter knives as flat screwdrivers. I once caught her using an ice cream scoop as a hammer. We've talked about it. I bought her tools. Now she keeps an old Etty butter knife in the back of the drawer for fast easy battery changes and uses a hammer as a hammer. Surely, huffing solvents for a high. I used to live 2 doors down from the neighborhood's crazy lady, and she would often vacuum her grass after it was mowed. Girlfriend's brother using my $125 chef's knife to chop ice. I did make a scene. Got rid of both. Barbarians. Inserting a Q-tip into an ear canal. Not extreme, but 2 of our graphic design juniors using caps lock for a single capital letter. I had never seen anyone do this, and they both joined within a space of a month. We'll never understand how or why they can work like that. Anyone remember the poop knife? To make a long ducking story short, I put a whole bag of jelly beans up my ass. Welp, baby me didn't have any small dolls to put inside a collectible toy Mini Cooper with openable doors. So the best thing I could do was use different types of erasers and give them personalities. An old roommate put a strainer inside of a pot of boiling water and flipped both. Boiling went all over the place, but she said that's the right way to do it. I seen on Instagram. My mom's co-worker, or maybe even her ex-boss, used the plastic page protectors for office binders in a wrong way. The page protectors have only one opening on top, as everyone knows, but she would always turn them upside down and then used a billion of paper clips on the bottom to prevent papers from falling out. I'm surprised nobody had mentioned things they shoved up their butts yet. My mom used the handle end of a spoon today instead of a knife to spread some mayonnaise. The spoon was clean and not used for any spoon-like activities either. There were other knives to use. My uncle had never used a Keurig before, and it seemed to him one would remove the top of that little K-cup so the hot water could get to the coffee. Surprisingly big mess. This reminds me of the time my BF decided to make homemade lemonade. He was in the kitchen when I heard him struggling and cursing at this lemon squeezer. I came in and saw him, then asked what was wrong. He started to rant about this dumb lemon squeezer and how shoddy and ineffective it was, and that these decorative holes at the bottom aren't doing anything to let the juice flow out. I sincerely had never laughed so hard in my life. He had the lemons in the lemon squeezer and backwards so it wasn't getting any pressure squeezed into the lemon. I took mercy and showed him how he was supposed to position the lemon in the squeezer. Of course he got much more juice out of it then. I think he felt kind of dumb, but to be fair, he is Korean American too. His family probably never made lemonade growing up, or used lemons in general since it's not used much in Korean food, although now anytime something doesn't seem to work one of us will ask if it has decorative holes. Edit. It was one like this. He put the cut lemon in with skin side down. So there was some lemon juice coming out, but not like if you turned it the other way. I was doing an internship in a small office and the engineer, yeah he is engineer, needed to take out the trash from the trash bin. It had a plastic bag with the trash. He opened a new plastic bag, although it was to replace the old full one, and asked my help to hold it while he threw all the trash from the bin to the new plastic bag instead of just take the trash from the old plastic bag and replace for the new one. I was so confused. I saw a video once where a woman was using a drill. Nothing weird, right? Well, instead of, drilling, she took a hammer and put the drill in the wall and started hitting the back of the drill with the hammer. My wife once watched a girl at work stick a ball of aluminum into a microwave with her instant ramen during a break. She said, "The sparks are just because it's heating up faster," as if it were common knowledge. One of my roommates used a pair of pliers to flip bacon. He did it pretty regularly. My dad's old boss asked a dishwasher at work to wash his car. 1 hour later the boss goes to look at his brand new BMW and the guy had used a pot scourer, that metal thing used to clean stuff. Don't know if that's right word. Needless to say, my dad's boss screamed and that guy ran so far he was never seen again. About 9 years ago a co-worker hammered a paint tin lid back on with the handle of my torque wrench. Still mad at that guy. This guy Frank uses a knife to cut his toenails. He calls it his toe knife. When he frequently botches the job he then used socks or trash, basically whatever is around, to stop the bleeding when there is not a glove available. He calls them cut gloves. Really weird dude. Several years ago I worked for Natural Nail Salon as a receptionist. One of my duties was to sweep the floors regularly so clients don't step on nail clippings on their way in out. There was a new hire, and my manager was never really around to train her. The other receptionists and I trained her. One day, I asked her to sweep the floors. I showed her where the broom and dustpan was. She was in her early 20s and living on her own. I assumed I didn't have to teach her how to use a broom. She took the broom and fanned the nail clippings into the dustpan. She didn't drag the broom across the floor to sweep it. The broom never touched the floor. I tried to show her how to sweep properly. She never took my advice, and I kind of gave up. She left after 6 months. She still couldn't sweep, but she could finally calculate tips at least. Once while camping I witnessed a family getting set up. Connect a hose to their car tailpipe and fill up their air mattress with the exhaust. I got on a bus and a woman was eating a pint of Ben & Jerry's with a pair of safety scissors. Not sure if it counts, but I've seen a person to use his phone to take a picture of a comment on his YouTube video. Take a screenshot of the picture, print it and use his web camera to show the print of the comment in another YouTube video. Made solely to reply to said comment. My brain still hurts. Poop spoon. One time my father-in-law was so excited about feeding my 1+-year-old niece specimens that she ate way too many. We did warn him that it's very astringent and can cause constipation. My niece was crying later because she was really constipated and her stool was really hard. And my sister-in-law had to use a small spoon to dig it out as recommended by the pediatrician. I've never witnessed it. However, on every curling iron there is a label that says, "External use only." Someone didn't unplug it first. Someone got an open gum, twisted it around and started cleaning their ears with it. Getting high off of sniffing a permanent marker. My dad would always finish watering the yard and then stuff the garden hose deep down into his pants with the head poking out. Then, he'd bok around pretending to be a chicken. with the hose head flopping all around like a soft D. Really weird. Dad. I'm pretty confident that no one should ever utilize a grapefruit for an assist while sucking D. My stepmom saw a bug and picked up my dad's phone and started to swing her arm to smash the bug with it when my dad caught her arm and yelled something about breaking the phone. So she put his phone down and picked up his friend's phone that was right next to it and smashed the bug with it, breaking the phone in the process. She then refused to help pay for the broken phone. That Redditor who said that he used to sit on toilets, facing the tank. He thought the tank was like a tabletop you leaned forward on while you ate in the bowl. He did this all the way into adulthood. Prob too late, but here goes. A buddy told me his friend had wanted to have multiple orgasms once but hadn't been able to keep it up after the first. He decided to shove a Q-tip down his D to maintain rigidity. It didn't work naturally. He tried a second one. Guy had to have them surgically removed. I've unsuccessfully spent 20 years trying to find any logic in this story. There was a Russian rocket that went out of control almost immediately on launch a few years ago and exploded. Here's the video. Investigation revealed the cause was the guidance sensors had been installed upside down, so basically it tried to flip immediately after launch. The thing was, the brackets inside the rocket that the sensors attached to were specifically designed to only allow them to mount one way to prevent this exact thing. Turned out the worker who put them in used a hammer to pound them in when they didn't immediately fit. That's a pretty egregious and expensive misuse of a hammer. My grandmother-in-law has been staying with me and my partner this past week. I love her, but oh my gosh. The toilet rolls are the wrong way round. All the chopping knives end up in the drawer instead of the very obvious knife block. I once had a roommate who didn't know how to sweep or mop. I thought he was ducking with me. Nope. He straight up did not know how brooms and mops work. Watching him try to clean was like watching a monkey try to duck a football. Using a stone pickaxe on dirt. Trash bins. See a full trash bin? Here's what to do. Take the bag out of the can. Tie it up nice and tight. None of those ties that keeps the bag is still halfway open. Replace with clean trash bin liner. Take full trash bag out to appropriate trash collection receptacles. Don't wait for your housemates to do it. They're just going to wait for you to do it. The trash will never be cared for. The saga will go on and no one will ever want to marry you. Anything that is not an ashtray, used as an ashtray. Tea towels are for drying clean dishes, not for mopping up the pasta sauce you spilled on the counter. Using toasters as bath bombs. Ovens. Well, certain type of them where the broil is completely separate at the bottom. Some people think their ovens don't have a broil feature and that the bottom tray is simply used for storing stuff like pizza trays and whatnot. I remember an individual who used an empty cardboard box as semen receptacle. One day my mother-in-law asked where her expensive blender was. My father-in-law had taken it to try and extract DNA out of soil. My mother has 30 butter knives at home, but she literally never uses them. She will use the same fillet knife or the fruit knife to smear butter. I sometimes use shampoo as body wash. The first time I saw someone open a beer bottle with a lighter. Vehicles. God damn it, people learn how to drive. Any blunt object in the construction field is a hammer. Anything. I'm way late, but this is too good not to share. I saw someone who had taken a window AC unit and installed it into the back of a full-size van. 10/10 for ingenuity. Hitachi magic wand. It was always plugged in next to my mum's bedroom. I thought she just loved massages, but then internet porn have changed my perspective. I had a new flatmate who had arrived straight from mummy and daddy's house to mine. He didn't know how to do anything. One evening while I was out, he put a very large uncooked chicken into my small microwave. So big it took up all available space inside. I'm sure the turntable couldn't have been able to move. Came home to find the whole flat covered in a fine film of chicken fat. A cloud of acrid blue smoke floating around the ceiling and the door to the microwave blown clean off. Masturbating into a sock is something I will never understand. My friend had these holes in his mattress that somehow drew suspicion given their size, location and depth. He later confirmed it. Oh. I don't know if this will only make sense to Mexicans, But this lady making tortillas, with no idea how to actually use a tortilla press, cracks me up. This is how to use a tortilla press. I once cut down a small tree with a bread knife, surprisingly sharp. Using a vacuum to shorten your period. Somewhere on Reddit I read a tifu about a guy using blow dryer to dry his every body part, and somehow ducked up badly. I once wanted to make tea. I took a tea making pot, saucepan, and put it on the stove that I already turned on. After a few minutes later I came to check if the water is boiling. That's when I realized I forgot to put anything in the pot. It was glowing red hot. Sorry for the English grammar. I travel all the time for work. In my travels I bought myself some really nice Travel Pro suitcases. $300 plus EA. My parents don't travel so much and have old luggage that's just falling apart. I changed up my main travel bag for something more practical and brought one of my Travel Pro bags to my parents. I told them, hey, use this when you go somewhere. My dad works in the electrical business. The first thing he asked me is if he can load the bag up with extension cords and take it on job sites. My mom tells me she had to stop him from doing this a few times. I eventually took the bag back home with me.